The Thunder just wrapped up arguably the most impressive week of basketball any team has put together this season. 5 games in 7 days against 4 playoff teams, OKC managed to go 4-1 with a combined margin of victory of 39. But what made it so impressive was who they did it against, shutting down the 3-time MVP in Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, before doing the same to the Boston Celtics and last year's Finals MVP in Jaylen Brown, before wrapping it up with a trip to Milwaukee, where they faced the Bucks and Giannis. That's 5 MVPs and 3 Finals MVPs between all 3 players, and the Thunder made it look easy and without their second best player.
Come on, man! That's too easy!
Let's start with the Denver matchup. We all know the Nuggets want to get Jokic post-ups on the right block, and OKC actually started this game with Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein to provide as much resistance inside as possible. The plan was for Hartenstein to fight through any and every screen possible to deny Jokic easy catches on his post-ups. You can see it again on this play. Watch as Hartenstein fights through not 1 but 2 cross screens just to break up another entry pass to 15. The Thunder actually put Chet on Aaron Gordon to start this one, and because AG likes to roam around near the dunker spot, it means Chet can provide help side rim protection when Jokic goes to post up. But this isn't the first time teams have tried this whole daring Gordon to shoot. It doesn't really work anymore since he's shooting a career best 45% from 3, and he drained his first triple to start this game. So after the Nuggets took an early double-digit lead, the Thunder moved Chet Holmgren onto Christian Brown, a weaker 3-point shooter with the same goal in mind, to ignore him in the corner, but to provide help on Aaron Gordon and Jokic post-ups. This move worked pretty well. The Nuggets only posted a 109 offensive rating in Brown's minutes, and ultimately, it allowed the Thunder to go small in the non-Jokic minutes, where they used their speed to their advantage. Watch this play again. OKC switches everything, and even after J-Dub bites on this MPJ up fake, Aaron Wiggins anticipates the give and go pass and falls back just enough to give J-Dub time to take Caruso's man on the switch. This entire possession is a flawless example of team trust and awareness, and it leads to a miss. This 4-guard lineup they like to run also allows them to swarm to the ball, almost like a nest of yellow jackets, hawking anyone on the other team who has the ball underneath the basket. And when Jokic returns, it's Chet on Brown again, and he can patrol the paint like he does here, preventing Murray from an easy shot or pass, giving the other defenders time to recover. Chet's full impact as a roamer for this team can't truly be quantified. Watch here how his presence alone is enough to deter and force Jamal Murray into a turnover instead of what would have been an easy layup. So, the Nuggets countered this move by having one of their shooters clear to the same corner as Brown and set a back screen on his defender, giving him some time and space for an open shot and punishing OKC for helping off him. This is a natural counter that teams have developed to punish opponents for ignoring poor shooters to overload on a score, but the Nuggets stood 10 toes down in their approach. Chet tells J-Dub here to take the corner so he can patrol in the paint. The possession ends with a contested Jokic mid-range, which OKC will gladly take. Overall, the Nuggets just weren't able to solve this adjustment. The paint is absolutely clogged on this pick and roll because Chet isn't worried about Brown and Shai isn't worried about Jamal Murray when he gives the ball up underneath the basket. Even in transition, watch how many black jerseys swarm to the ball. That's 1, 2, 3 players poking at the rock, and they force a steal on MPJ. Remember, without Chet as a roamer, these Jokic post-ups are a little bit easier to find since there's no shot blocker at the rim. But with Chet on a non-shooter like Zeke Naji, he can use his length to force steals. He tallied 4 blocks in this game, and each one was instrumental in helping balloon their lead to double digits late in the fourth quarter, putting the game out of reach. Now, Boston is a different animal. They play a completely different style than Denver does, And without J-Dub in the lineup for this one, the Thunder actually started 4 guards in the starting rotation to counter Boston's shooting and drive-and kick game. Boston started this game draining 6 threes in the first quarter, in large part due to their ability to drive and kick constantly. This is a big staple of the Celtics offense and was something OKC struggled to take away at first. If Jaylen Brown gets a paint touch like he does here, the ball will move and spray to open shooters like so, and Mark D saw enough and called timeout. So, the Thunder started collapsing on the driving lanes while also strategically leaving poor shooters open. Watch this play again. Kenrich Williams actually slows down closing out to Torrey Craig because he wants to make sure Sam Hauser, the better three-point shooter, is covered first. The Thunder turned up their on-ball aggressiveness to end the first quarter, which really confused Boston. Watch how Lu Dort is sort of sagged off of Tatum, but then goes full denial mode when they try to swing it back to him. The entire play is a mess for Boston, and it leads to a 24-second shot clock violation. When the opposing team's offense doesn't know what pick and roll coverage you're in, it makes it a lot harder to be aggressive. Hartenstein started this game in a deep drop, but on this play he hedges hard to force the ball out of Tatum's hands, which surprises him and it leads to a turnover. This was also a big reason why Jaylen Brown only had 2 points in the first half, shooting 1 of 7. So in the second half, the Celtics moved Brown to the post more to get him closer to the basket. So OKC in response started to turn up the ball denial by fronting him in the post, making entry passes there much more difficult. Watch how long Aaron Wiggins fights with JB in the post here, from one side of the free throw line to the other to deny this pass and force a turnover. OKC was so committed to denying JB post touches that they were actually doubling him away from the ball. Watch Hartenstein and Cason Wallace here. Wallace fronts the post and Hartenstein guards the backside before the ball is even thrown in. After the inbound, watch how he sprints back to cover his man, leaving Cason on an island. Wallace keeps fighting the entire possession and OKC gets what they wanted, a long contested 3 out of Jaylen Brown. So, we've already seen the Thunder adjust their lineups to best defend against the personnel of the other team. So, it should be no surprise that they went back to this double big lineup against Giannis and the Bucks. Much like in the Nuggets game, the Thunder started this game with Chet Holmgren on Kuzma and Hartenstein on Giannis. Since the Bucks like to run a 3-4 pick and roll instead of your traditional 4-5, setting the lineup this way allows for OKC to switch everything while also keeping size on Giannis and length closer to the basket. Kuzma only shoots 30% from downtown, so he's not actually a threat from there, and you can see Chet completely ignores him in the corner to defend against Giannis' signature spin move, and he forces him into a difficult floater. This length and pack the paint strategy held Milwaukee to their lowest point total of any first half this season, and is a big reason why the Thunder blew out yet another team on this road trip. Much like the 2019 Raptors team of old, OKC made it a mission to set up the famous Giannis wall, making sure at least 3 defenders are lined up in transition to keep him from getting a rolling start to the basket. Watch how OKC scram switches Cason Wallace out of the play, putting the bigger Hartenstein on Giannis to avoid any mismatches. OKC has basically mastered the art of scram switching, which is a strategy used to mitigate mismatches caused by an earlier switch. The biggest key to making this work is also gang rebounding when the shot goes up. OKC has struggled on the glass this season, but recently has improved mightily by relentlessly crashing the glass in every scenario. Mark Daigneault has recently empowered his team to be more aggressive on the offensive glass, going for steals in these scenarios rather than straight up getting back in transition. You saw this a lot in the Celtics game, and this is a big reason why they lead the league in loose balls recovered. It's an aggressive strategy that can create extra opportunities, but it can lead to transition threes if this approach fails. So, we've seen why OKC has been so successful defensively during this recent stretch and during the entire season. But of course, I can't end this video without talking about the greatness of Shai, who is putting together one of the best scoring seasons we have ever seen. Haters will focus on the foul baiting, which is a skill in and of itself, but the truth is, Shai has mastered the art of playing with pace and creating space without speed. Shai is great at creating contact and using it to get downhill. He had several possessions in the Denver game where he just lowered his shoulder into Christian Brown for easy layups. SGA might be the best player in the league right now at creating space. He doesn't need to be the fastest, but he has a brilliant handle and can stop on a dime and showcase the magnificent finishing ability. Shai has the strength and footwork to take smaller guards to the post like so, and because teams are so fearful of his drives, defenders are basically conceding to be beaten by his 37% three ball. So on this next possession, Al Horford, out of fear of the three, overcommits to the step back, and SGA just blows by him with a simple hezzy and an acrobatic finish at the rim.
Hot damn!
Shai has mastered this bump fade spin move in the mid-range as a counter to when teams take away his drive. And a big reason his drive and kick game is so deadly is because he's so good at also tricking defenders into thinking screens are there that actually aren't. Christian Brown is absolutely paranoid here, anticipating a screen coming from both sides. He overcommits to one side, and Shai just blows by him for an easy drive and kick to an open shooter. This is part of the reason why teams have gone zone a lot recently against OKC, and it hasn't really worked. Denver, Boston, and Milwaukee all broke it out during their recent matchups last week, and the Thunder were 100% prepared. Part of the reason they obliterated these zone coverages is because their offense has so many moving parts. Hartenstein and J-Dub both clear from one side of the floor to the other, putting more pressure on MPJ to watch his blind side. When the ball rotates, the zone moves too, and it briefly leaves Hartenstein open for this beautiful slip, and Chet finds him for the dunk. In the Boston game, it's the same story. Mark D makes this rotate signal with his hands, and right on cue, Dort flips from one side of the floor to the other, while Hartenstein and Kenrich Williams fill his spot. This causes confusion, and Torrey Craig is forced to travel to the opposite side of the court to compensate for the Thunder putting three players on one side, but he's just too late and Williams drains a triple. But it's this middle pick and roll with all these moving parts that allows for OKC to get Shai downhill in a way that basically simulates a man coverage, with two defenders forced to guard two players in the middle of the floor. Teams are so worried about letting Shai get to the middle of the paint in the zone that it allows for OKC to get creative with these little fake tap screens to fool defenders into thinking the contact is for a ball screen. This is referred to as a ghost screen, and before JJ Redick took over as head coach of the Lakers last summer, this is what he and LeBron considered to be one of the hardest actions to guard in basketball.
It's two of the hardest actions to guard to me right now are ghost screens with a great shooter.
Yep.
And running into a pick and roll. It's not a traditional slip.
Right.
You run into a pick and roll, you touch the guy's back, and then you get behind the defense.
Behind the defense, yeah.
You can't guard that. So you could be like, oh yeah, we're going to switch. Teams have now figured out ways to exploit switching.
You know what else is hard to guard? A pick and roll between two 7-footers. That's right, the Thunder will often have Chet be the ball handler in non-Shai minutes, with IH on the floor, and he has the ability to see and pass over the defense, which means teams can't really afford to double him, because if they do, not only will Chet punish you with his passing, but Hartenstein can also put the ball on the floor and attack defenders that are off put. So, it seems like a lot, and maybe it is, but the OKC Thunder just showed why they are the best team in basketball, not only with their superstar guard playing at an all-time MVP level, and a supporting cast elevating this team to unseen offensive and defensive heights, but they are also doing it without their second best player, which, if you ask me, makes this season all the more spectacular. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've made it to the end, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. In the comments, let me know how far you think this Oklahoma City Thunder team will make it in the playoffs this year. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.